And what a time to be live on a Monday night following the second edition of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. What's going on, members of the J area? My name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for joining me tonight on tonight's live stream on a Monday night, again, following a pretty good episode of Raw, I thought. I want to hear from you guys in terms of what you guys thought about the episode itself. We saw some monumental things take place on this episode of Monday Night Raw. First and foremost, I do have to talk about the top of the show. I mean, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins all interacting with one another, having them in the ring. Well, maybe Drew wasn't in the ring at the same time, but having those three guys all together. I know, Sanford 5. No, I want to hear from you. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you again, Sanford 5, for always participating in the chat there. Yeah, no, big episode, I thought. SmackDown, or Raw, I don't know why I said SmackDown, but Raw, having the three main stars, Drew, Seth, and Punk, all announced for the Royal Rumble. A huge, monumental thing to take place. This year's Royal Rumble really is going to be, I think, the biggest in recent memory. I mean, you look at the stars that have already confirmed for the matchup. We have guys like John Cena, like Roman Reigns, Punk, Rollins, McIntyre, just to name a few. I believe LA Knight had also announced his participation in the Rumble as well. A star-studded affair the Royal Rumble will be. I've always said that the Royal Rumble really is like the All-Star game for the WWE, having so many of their main players in one match, all vying for that coveted main event of WrestleMania, and having players like the ones I mentioned, Cena, Roman, Rollins, Punk, and McIntyre, all former world champions, all having a big part of the WWE's success in recent years. Who do you guys think will be the favorite going into the Rumble, and who do you have winning the Royal Rumble itself, whether it's the men or for the women? Because I think on both sides, there's really an argument to be made for this being the more unpredictable set of Rumbles, at least in the last few years. What's going on, Sylvia? Thank you for joining us here on the live stream on a Monday night. We're talking Royal Rumble. We're talking Monday Night Raw, but it's always great to see some of our loyal members of the J area, loyal members of the Main Event Mafia, really. So we appreciate you guys stopping by and also taking part in these live streams. What did you guys think about this episode of Monday Night Raw? And how's your night going? How's your day been going? I'm hoping you guys are well. I'm hoping this live stream finds you guys well. I always say how much I look forward to these live streams and having the opportunity to connect with you guys, not only regarding pro wrestling, but just as a community as itself. We had a live stream yesterday for our little gaming session on Sunday. We had the Royal Rumble match take place where we had all the winners and some of the runners-ups taking part in that Royal Rumble to crown, the greatest Royal Rumble winner. If you weren't with us then and you didn't have the opportunity, go ahead and look back in the archives so that you can see how that stream went down. We got into nice conversations. We talked about the Royal Rumble. We talked about a little bit of my personal life, and that's something that I kind of want to open up with you guys. As you know, we're big in the pro wrestling community, but I really want to have that opportunity to dive into more conversation with you guys and maybe give you guys the opportunity to know me more on a personal level. We spent a lot of time here talking about pro wrestling, but I open it up to you guys. I've always said that this live stream is as much your guys' as it is mine. So Sanford 5, hands down, the winner is me, because I'm announcing that I'm entering this year's Royal Rumble and bringing the gold home. It really feels like anybody can announce their participation in the Rumble. I remember back in the day, you had to win like a qualifying matchup in order to take part in the Royal Rumble, and nowadays it's just like, hey, I'm gonna declare for the Rumble. But I feel like it's really those big stars, like the Punks, like the Romans, like the Cenas, they're gonna declare. And then we have like the last 10 spots, and it's like, a guy like Chad Gable, just for example, who need to fight for those last spots and fight for the scraps. Sylvia in the chat says, what a show. Was not expecting tonight's new wrestlers debut. I'm a fan. And what a segue, right? We talk about Chad Gable. He had his hands filled. He had to face off against the debuting Penta. He's going by Penta now, but we also know him as Pentagon Jr. And Sanford 5 seconds that saying Penta is legit. What a showing by Pentagon, or Penta as he's known now in the WWE. I was very wary of how they were going to present Penta, but I'm glad that they were able to do so and showcase him as like this legit star. I mean, he had a great matchup against Chad Gable. I knew you gave these guys ample enough time and you had them go ahead and just deliver, and that's what they did. Sanfran 5 says his match against Rey Mysterio at Lucha Underground is fire. Penta's fantastic. For those who aren't familiar with Penta's work, man, strap yourself in. You're going to be in for a treat. Pentagon, one of the best luchadors in the world right now. If you have access to Max, you can actually go back and look at AEW's previous episodes of Dynamite, some pay-per-views as well. All that is going to be available on Max if you have access to that. To go ahead and look back at some of Penta's work. He's obviously well known as one half of the Lucha Brothers. He and his brother Rey Fenix, some of the best wrestlers in the world, and what a treat it was to see him go up against Chad Gable. A fantastic match. Sanfran 5 can't wait for Rey Fenix to join. Oh man, I mean, if Tony Khan ever lets him out of purgatory, I still think it's ridiculous that they won't allow Phoenix out of his contract because of the 1 year tacked on to his contract due to injuries. I mean, Rey Fenix is not going to take part in AEW. He doesn't want to be there. Tony Khan clearly doesn't want to see him on TV, otherwise they would have. I think it's ridiculous. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't want Rey Fenix to have to go too long without competing in a ring. You don't want to develop that ring rust. And as well, it's just unfair, for him to be withering away, not having an opportunity to showcase his talents, especially on the big stage of the WWE. It's petty, is what it is. But I digress. I don't want to get into a little tirade there. Penta is in the WWE. Rey Fenix hopefully isn't too far behind. Those are two stars, man. If you haven't seen their work, like I said, do yourself a favor. Go to Max, look up AEW, and you're going to see some of their old matches against the likes of like the Young Bucks. I mean, fantastic work. Mama Ramos in the chat says we need an Evolution short. Oh yeah, no, believe me. Once I saw the presentation of Penta, I'm glad they really kept the character in essence. I mean, nothing really changed aside from the fact, that we're going to a shorter version or abbreviated version of Penta. I definitely think that he versus sorry, I was reading Sanfran 5 here. My bad, wrong promotion. I do think that it's in store. We will be doing a Penta Evolution short at some point during the week because we've seen different gear by Penta. I mean, he's had one where it was like a Venom, one where it was like Carnage, another where the Joker is another popular set of gear that Pentagon has worn in the past. So certainly that would be one, if you guys are interested in, I would love to produce for you guys. So keep an eye out for a Pentagon Evolution short or just a highlight reel, really. Because I am like buzzing off of that debut. What a debut. Pentagon versus Chad Gable. We knew Chad Gable was great. We knew he was great. But talk about the sell. Pentagon hits, obviously it's traditionally known as a Canadian destroyer. On commentary, they refer to it as a Mexican destroyer. It's where, the individual places their opponent's head between their legs, almost like in a powerbomb position. But rather than pulling them up, the Penta goes forward into like a somersault and spikes Chad Gable's head straight into the mat. And it was a thing of beauty. I mean, like that room had that maneuver has a bit of room for error, but they pulled it off tremendously. I can't stop talking about it. And then the promo afterward, where Penta is expressing his gratitude towards the San Jose crowd, expressing his gratitude towards the audience, and talking about how we're in this new era of the WWE. We're in the Netflix era, but proclaiming that we're now in the Penta era, and talking about how, of course, he has zero fear. I thought overall presentation wise, they hit the nail on the head. Penta is here, and it's so awesome. Kevin, what's going on, my friend? Thank you for stopping by here on the live stream on a Monday. Kevin says, yo, Jose, you know how SmackDown had a SmackDown 6. Who's your Raw 6? Oh, that's a good question. So immediately, I look at this. I look at this. The SmackDown 6 was like a mid card group. You guys had like Benoit, Kurt Angle, Edge, Eddie, Ray, Chavo. Solid mid card, solid tag team wrestling. I look at that in the same vein in Raw. I can't choose guys like Seth, Drew, and Punk. Those are your main event guys. I'm looking at the core guys who are always going to be there. You can throw them in any combination of a matchup, whether you need someone to go over, someone to go under. And I'm looking at guys like Sheamus, for sure. I'm looking at Braun Breaker. I'm looking at Kaiser. Those three solidified because any combination of those three, they've been putting on great TV matches. Aside from them, I would also include the likes of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a great worker. You put him in the ring with anybody and he's going to deliver. At number 5, I'll put Chad Gable. I think Chad Gable is worthy of being in this Raw 6. I think he has had tremendous matches. One against Penta. He's had other great matches against Sammy, against Jey Uso, against Gunther. Always delivers. Always delivers. And in 6, I'll go ahead and put Jey Uso. Jey Uso is on the cusp of a main event run here. He's going to have a title match against Gunther. But I look at Jey Uso again as in that position where he's going to be a reliable hand, gets the crowd moving, gets the crowd going. So for me, my Raw 6 to answer Kevin's question, I'm looking at Kaiser, Breaker. I'm looking at Sheamus. I'm also looking at Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso. Those are my 6. Mama Ramos, you already know Sylvia and I will be looking up his matches. I highly suggest you do. I mean, you won't be disappointed. It's fantastic. One of his best matches, I think, had to be the Steel Cage. It was the All Out pay-per-view 2019 between Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks. All-time classic. All-time classic. He also had a great matchup against his brother, Rey Fenix. It was Rey Fenix versus Penta in a tournament matchup. I believe it was in the fall of 2019. If not, it was 2020. But they had a great matchup against one another. Kevin, not gonna lie, this is my first time hearing about Penta. Boy, are you in for a show? I mean, if this is your first time seeing Penta, what a first impression that Penta had. I mean, again, great matchup, great promo, great presentation. If you saw online, apparently there was a little heat between the boys and Penta there because apparently they went over on the timing and they had to cut other people's time on this show. We don't know specifically who was affected in terms of that time constraint, but apparently Penta and Chad Gable kind of went over their time limit there. But yeah, Pentagon is fantastic. I don't want to overhype him. I'm just super hyped for him. Great worker. Tyler, what's going on? Welcome back to the live stream. MLW Wrestling was on Saturday. Breaking news is I'm going to GCW event in Arizona. Oh, that's awesome. Hope you enjoy the show. Penta versus Ray at WrestleMania. You know, I would love to see Penta versus Ray. Absolutely. But I just don't think it's going to be at WrestleMania. I mean, they could. But at this point in time, the way it's being booked, Penta's a babyface. Ray's a babyface. I highly doubt that we have those two going at it at WrestleMania. I think certainly we'll see it down the road. But I don't know where they're going to have Penta logged in for WrestleMania. He currently he's just starting, right? We would be surprised if he appears in the Royal Rumble, quite frankly. But I do think him versus Rey Mysterio is a match that we will certainly see at some point. Tyler says MLW wrestling is better than AEW. This year is so bad. AEW is on a slump. They really do. And it's a shame because AEW has a lot of great talent. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Darby Allin, Kyle Fletcher, Okada, Takeshita, Danny Garcia. Like I could keep going. They have the talent there. I think it's the booking because you have the talent. You certainly have the match quality. They can have these great matches, but it's the booking. It's the storytelling. Why am I going to watch wrestling if there's no story? Now, granted, I know wrestling. We're watching wrestling. We want to see the guys and girls fight it out in the ring. Yes, I get that. But I look at it in the sense of like a movie. Why am I going to watch a fight just for the fight? I want to have a little bit of investment. I want to be able to have a dog in the fight and actually care. I can watch a matchup like King Kong versus Godzilla all day. Don't get me wrong. Love it. But I kind of want a little bit of meaning. I want it to mean something, right? In AEW, they have the talent there. It's just You got to make us care. You got to get us invested. And that's one thing they're struggling with. Sanfran 5 says Penta versus Ray 2 will be goated in the WWE. Give them 30 minutes, man. Give them all the time in the world. Penta versus Ray, especially with Ray being in the health that he is. Thank you for the stem cell treatment. Ray versus Penta. Awesome. Awesome. I would love to do it. And I would think it's for WrestleMania. That's a matchup worthy of a Mania, worthy of a PLE. I just don't think it'll be at WrestleMania this year. Maybe not. I'm a big MJF guy. MJF was good. You know, I think he's one of the best pure heels in the business right now. Again, it goes back to creative. They had him cool off with the Adam Cole storyline. They turned MJF into like a semi-babyface midway through his world title run. And I thought it was entertaining. I thought for a moment there, wow, you really have us invested in MJF as a babyface. Because I thought very much like The Miz, very much like a Tiffany Stratton, I didn't think you should turn these guys babyface. They're just great heels. They do that. It kind of cools off. MJF I am a fan of, but it's all about the direction of the character. All about the direction for the character there. He's got Shades of Jericho and Rick Rude. He's really a throwback. MJF is like a throwback to the old school version of heels. Very dedicated to the craft. Has the look. Has the charisma. Definitely has that cockiness about him. So I'm very much a fan of MJF. I think, again, he's one of the best stars they have in AEW. And it's cool because he's kind of like a homegrown talent. I know he's at other work in like Ring of Honor and MLW and other companies. But he was there since like day one. He was there at the original All-In pay-per-view. So, MJF, we are a fan of you. Kevin, how many years you think Ray has? I'm thinking a couple. I don't see him going past like 2027. I really don't. I think it's going to be this year in 2026 for sure. I can't see him going on for too long. I think he just recently like hit his 50s. And I don't see Ray being the kind of guy to go too far into his career where it's like it's just sad. I think Ray is smart enough to be like, okay, he's already accomplished everything. Ray could literally retire today, and it would be fine. His career, his legacy is solidified. I don't think Ray needs this as bad as other people do. He's already a GOAT, in my opinion. I think Tony Khan needs to wait. What Tony Khan needs to do is get out of his own way. He's so, micromanaging the production of AEW. Of course, I'm not there. You're not there either. We don't know. We're just fans. But from what we've seen, Tony Khan's got to make a little bit of a tweak. I look at it like the Dallas Cowboys. Hear me out. You have a guy like Jerry Jones at the top. Jerry Jones is the president and the GM of the Dallas Cowboys. He's making the key decisions, right? What's the one common factor in the last 30 years as to why the Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl, why they haven't even sniffed out the NFC Championship game? Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, and very much like a Tony Khan, need to delegate. They can still be at the top, but you got to be able to give the responsibilities to the appropriate personnel. Tony Khan can still be the top guy and be like a Vince McMahon and he gets the final say, but delegate. Have other people help you out with the storylines, with the presentation. There is an abundance of knowledge across the AEW, backstage groupings throughout their employees. And also, maybe don't give so much creative control to your wrestlers. I mean, you've heard the stories about like Mercedes Moné. You heard about like Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley, who have a say in their characters. Now, you can make suggestions. Absolutely. You can talk about the direction of your character, but I don't think it's wise for AEW to give a level of power to these guys and girls. You gotta, the buck stops somewhere, right? He's got to shorten that leash and maybe give the power to more people who are credible and are appropriate for those responsibilities. That's just my take at it. I think it all starts at the top. Whether it's an organization, a team sport, leadership is key. It starts at the top, and it's a trickle-down effect. So whatever Tony says, that's going to be the end-all, be-all, but you got to learn to delegate. And that's why, with all due respect, that's why the Jaguars are dumpster fire too, because the Khans, man, they got to get out of their way. They got to delegate for Shad Khan and for Tony Khan there. Right? Again, I don't want to throw a whole rant at AEW there. Who do you think is the LeBron James of the WWE in terms of durability and longevity? Braun is in his 40s and dude is still a tank. Okay, I'm done with the basketball talk. No, I welcome the basketball talk. I'm a big NBA fan myself. But in terms of the LeBron James of the WWE, someone that's just in, because you talk about durability and someone that can still go. Are they even in the WWE anymore? Is the question. Because there's been guys that come and go when it comes to pro wrestling. But let's break it down, right? LeBron James, one of the greatest of all time. For me personally, number two. Michael Jordan's number one. There's nothing wrong with being number two. It's something I would always tell my dad. He's a big LeBron guy. But I always told him, hey, Michael Jordan's the best. I know we don't shoot to go for number two. No one wants to be second place. But in the NBA, there's a bunch of talent. There's a lot of legends, a lot of greatness. And if you're only behind Michael Jordan, I think you did okay. In terms of that, I'm looking at someone that's been at the top, who's been a key guy, and was there for a long time. Now, we can go both ways with this. We can say either, all time or currently. But for me, I think I'm going to go Randy Orton. Randy Orton, hear me out. LeBron James, upon entering the NBA, skipped college. I mean, this guy was a specimen. People were calling him the chosen one. He took to the NBA stardom like a frog to water. He could go on land, he could go in the water. Randy Orton, it's in his nature, it's in his blood. Third generation superstar. Came into the WWE, immediately joined Evolution, was surrounded by veterans who helped him build up, became a world champion, had high expectations, and became one of the greatest of all time, and is still doing it at a high level and plans to do it for more years to come. He says he wants to be in his 50s working in the WWE. He's a lifer. For me, I think Randy Orton. Sheamus signed a 5-year contract extension with the WWE, making him one of the wrestlers contracted until his 50s. Love Sheamus's work. She stood there up a weak roster. And yeah, Sheamus is a great option as well. Sheamus has been there since 2009 on the main roster, that is. And what is that? That's 16 years now. We're going into 16 years with Sheamus. And he was during a dark time in the WWE's time where there wasn't really depth in the roster. The ratings weren't the best, and fans were very critical of the direction of creative. Sheamus is another guy I think you can throw in terms of that longevity and the LeBron conversation. I personally think Randy Orton, but yeah. I skipped over a comment there. Jose, are you a Warriors fan? I am. And we just took an L tonight. So not the best season for the Warriors this year. Kind of a transitional period for us. Stephen Curry and the boys did win a number of championships in previous years, but 2022 was the last time that we won the world championship, and it's kind of been a transitional period here. We lost Clay. We still have Draymond, who I kind of have a love-hate relationship with him. But yeah, I'm a Warriors fan. We're kind of it's a struggle in the Bay Area. Niners didn't have a great year. Warriors are slipping, even though they had a good start to the season, and the Giants were still on the rebuild there as well. Do you think Rey Mysterio, he's passed his legacy to Penta? I don't know. It's tough with Rey, because for so many years, people have been looking for that new Rey Mysterio, that next Rey Mysterio. They thought it was going to be someone like Sin Cara. They thought it was going to be Kalisto. Hey, how about Dragon Lee? I mean, some people were saying Alberto Del Rio. I certainly don't agree with that one. So they're always looking for the next Rey Mysterio. I don't think there's ever going to be the next Rey Mysterio. I think Dragon Lee certainly had that potential, but he's cooled down ever since being associated with the LWO. Penta better not side with the NWO, or the LWO, excuse me. I love the LWO. Fan of Rey, Dragon Lee, Zelina, and the boys. I'm a fan of theirs. But Penta has to be on his own. Do not group him with Legado del Fantasma, and don't group him up with the LWO. He needs to be his own thing. For God's sakes, please do not put him with them. Tyler, look, I love this WWE era. It's a different level. It really is. The WWE has been on fire since coming under the Triple H regime. And it's not showing signs of slowing down, and I love it. Big fan of it. Draymond Green needs to come over to the WWE. I think it'd be a great fit. Draymond Green has the personality. He could be a heel, like straight up. The Warriors are one of the despised organizations in the NBA for sure. Slapping Jordan Poole, he cost y'all another championship. Y'all definitely had a chance of getting another ring with Poole. I don't know, man. I certainly think that Draymond would fit well in the WWE as a heel. Jordan Poole, his antics. Jordan Poole had talent. Don't get me wrong. Has talent, I should say. He's stuck in purgatory with the Wizards, but has the talent. It's just there were times during those games I remember watching where it was like Jordan Poole held onto the ball too long. We're very much a team that is predicated on ball movement. You have Stephen Curry. He's the engine. The ball, the offense runs through him. And Jordan Poole's over here calling ISOs, and we have Curry over here. It didn't mesh well, I thought. It worked for that season, winning the championship, but long term, I don't know how much of a fit it would have been. What's going on, Sean? Welcome to the live stream on Monday night. Appreciate you stopping by here. We're talking, Monday Night Raw review. We're talking a little bit of basketball, too, if anything. I love it. I welcome it. Pentagon, of course, with a huge debut, but we also have a new Intercontinental champion. Lyra Valkyria defeats Dakota Kai in what I thought was a fun matchup there. It was a good start for the lineage of the Intercontinental title for the women's division. Lyra, I thought was a good pick here. It could have gone either way, and certainly seeing Bayley in attendance, I thought that we were going to see Dakota Kai win there for a second, but not the case. I think Lyra was the better choice, and I like the little sign of respect there by the two. I certainly was a fan of that. So was Pentagon in AEW previously? Yeah, Pentagon was one of the early signings for AEW. AEW really showcased a lot of... My hat's crooked. Showcased a lot of talent that is now present in the WWE. I mean, look at obviously like a Jade Cargill. Look at like Lexis King. Ethan Page as well. But yeah, he was on AEW's roster from 2019 to obviously most recently 2024. A great addition to their roster. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Martin, did you say Penta has a brother? Yeah, he has a brother, Ray Phoenix. Some argue that he's even better than Penta. So if you think Penta's great, some people out there think that Ray Phoenix is better. I think they're both great. On any given day, if you were to tell me, oh, Penta's better, or oh, Phoenix is better, I wouldn't argue because they're just so dynamic. They both introduce their own level of offense and flurry, I should say. They're awesome. Sean, what be Jordan Grace versus Rhea Ripley, Women's Championship? Jordan Grace turns heel on Rhea. I don't know. So I would love to see, Jordan Grace versus Rhea. I think that'd be a great matchup of powerhouses. The Juggernaut versus Mommy. I mean, hey, sign me up. But I think, obviously, Jordan Grace is going to be in the WWE this year. I do not see her renewing that contract with TNA Wrestling. I think she's going to be in the Rumble, but I think she's going to be on NXT. There's already a relationship there. There's already familiarity. That she's established herself amongst that roster. So I wouldn't be surprised, personally, to see her on that roster. I think she goes through NXT first. Maybe not there too long. Eventually does, of course, get to the main roster. But I definitely think that we'll see that matchup. Did you get to see the chance? Did you get the chance to see Zilla Fought 2 segment with Booker T? No. I have seen like pictures and stills. I haven't actually seen it. I know they had a match though. Zilla Fought 2 against Booker T. I know who wins. I don't want to, reveal it for people who haven't seen it. If not, let's just say the old man still got it. But no, I haven't gotten a chance to see that, Kevin. Hey, what's going on, Muhammad? Welcome back to the live stream. Hello, and I hope you are doing well. I am. I hope you're doing the same, as well as your weekend, and same with everyone here in the live chat on a late Monday night. I hope you're doing well as well, Muhammad. Thank you, of course, for stopping by on the live stream and talking pro wrestling with us. Kevin says, Lesnar coming back this Rumble? I don't think so. I think Lesnar's done for the time being. They have made a little bit of hints and suggestions, but I don't think so. Personally, I think he's done. And they don't need him, quite frankly. And it's not even me trying to be a contrarian or me trying to be like a hater. It's not that. Lesnar's done already enough for the company. They've done so much business with him. I don't think he needs to come back. I think he's set. I really do. Her Raw was really good earlier tonight, despite Dakota Kai a shocking loss, and I wish Netflix makes it easier for me to watch for Raw. Do you have difficulties watching Netflix? Because I know these first 2 weeks I haven't had any difficulty. I'm hoping other people aren't having any difficulty. And they really, I don't know if it was a shocking loss, but they certainly were putting Dakota Kai over. Like they were really highlighting her as a main player on the roster. I feel like it's because of this matchup. We saw her return in November, and they kind of were building her back up and presenting vignettes and these interview segments with her. And I think it was to establish credibility into this tournament and, of course, the finals with Lyra Valkyria. I'm hoping they move forward with that, keep the momentum going, and have us invested in Dakota Kai because we already are fans of Io. At least I am. We're already fans of Asuka and Kairi, who have been, sidelined due to injury. It was Dakota Kai who was like the last one in the group that, you kind of remembered, oh yeah, she is a part of the group. So I hope they continue to do something with her. I miss watching Raw, and Dakota Kai is freaking gorgeous. And she's great in the ring. Dakota Kai is fantastic in the ring. It doesn't get enough credit. Her work in NXT, whether it was Tegan Nox or with Raquel, always been a fan of Dakota Kai. King Coda. Drew, Punk, and Seth had a fire. They got me excited for the Rumble. When is the Rumble, and will it be on Netflix? So the Rumble will be February 1st, and it is still going to be on Peacock. I believe that for Netflix subscribers outside of North America, it's going to be available on Netflix, the Royal Rumble. But traditionally, for anybody in North America, or I think in elsewhere as well, it will be available on Peacock still. That's where we're going to be watching it here in Arizona. We're going to be watching that in America. It's going to be on Peacock. February 1st, the Royal Rumble. I was already hyped for it because it's the Rumble. It's one of my favorite shows. It goes WrestleMania, Rumble, and then SummerSlam because you just have an array of talent all in the ring at once. But this year's Rumble, man, this year's Rumble stacked. Hey, we got announcements that Cena, Punk, Drew, Seth, Roman, that's just 5. That's huge. Big stars across the board. I think LA Knight apparently had wanted to, I don't know if he has already. I think he alluded to joining the Rumble either last week's SmackDown or the week before. So regardless, dude, huge, a stacked field for the Rumble. I think it's going to be one of the best Rumbles in recent memory. Drew McIntyre better not injure Punk again. Oh my God, don't even say that. Don't even wish that into existence, man. Keep those two away from each other. I really do think that Punk has a shot at winning the Rumble this year. Between Punk and Cena, those are my picks for the predictions of the Royal Rumble. That's you guys getting an exclusive because usually I do predictions, prediction videos for these premium live events. So that's you guys getting a little bit of a scoop there on my early predictions. And of course, it's still early because we have a couple weeks out, maybe 3 weeks out to the Rumble. So a lot could change. I remember in 2020, there wasn't really a favorite for the Rumble winner. And then at some point, Drew McIntyre got hot. Started building up some steam. Building up momentum. And before you knew it, Drew McIntyre was one of the favorites. So could we see that? We saw something with Sami Zayn earlier. Sami Zayn, obviously associated with the bloodline. And people were saying hey, maybe you got to go into business for yourself. Do a little bit of work for yourself. And they've already introduced the idea of Sami being a world champion. Karrion Kross and The Miz had a conversation with him about that. So maybe, who knows? Sami Zayn, a dark horse? Any returns you got coming back for this Rumble? More so for the women. Because I think for sure Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch are going to make their return. No doubt about it. As for the men, so it's going to be in Indianapolis. I don't know too many big stars from Indiana or Indianapolis, personally. I don't know. I think, unfortunately, we're going to get a Pat McAfee entrant. I don't want a Pat McAfee entrance. I think it's a waste. I really do. We saw it last year, and you're going to be taking away from the stars of today. Muhammad, real quick in the comments, said Becky Lynch and Randy Orton. Becky Lynch, I think for sure. Randy Orton, solid. I forgot about that for a second. Randy Orton is out technically with a neck injury, the pile driver. I think Randy Orton for sure is gonna be a return. AJ Styles is solid as well. But I saw somewhere that AJ tweeted that like his recovery is a little bit difficult, and it's not really been the easiest road to recovery. I don't know if that's a way of him kind of throwing us off track, try to surprise us with a Royal Rumble return, or if that's legitimate, and then he's actually struggling with this rehab. I would love to see Booker T in the Royal Rumble. I love Booker T, but we did just see that. It was in 2022. So I don't know if I want, or 2023. It was in 2023, excuse me. So I don't know if I would want to see that. I didn't mean to say what I said. I just wanted Punk healthy and long again, and I know that he's a string of bad luck. Yeah, no, I mean, I was just joshing with you, pal. I'm not saying you're wishing injury upon him. But yeah, no one wants to see anybody get injured. Kevin LMAO, earlier today I watched DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at Saudi. Dude, that match made me sad. First of all, when I heard that they were announcing the Brothers of Destruction versus DX, I was like, why? Why are we doing this? The biggest complaint for me was that Shawn Michaels was coming out of retirement. We got to see Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. WrestleMania 26. We saw it live. Selfishly, I want to be able to say I saw Shawn's last match. What a way to go out. Going out on your sword, fighting The Undertaker, defiant until the very end. And what does he do? He comes out of retirement to face the Brothers of Destruction in Saudi Arabia, and they deliver that clunker of a matchup. I hate that match. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Because one, Triple H gets hurt, tears his pec, Kane loses his mask mid-match. It's a botch-infested matchup that unfortunately was gone from my memory, but because of Kevin, he reintroduced it back into my memory, and I wanted to forget that matchup, but here we are. It hurts seeing Edge on AEW go as Adam. Like, who the hell is Adam Copeland? Just kidding. It's tough. I mean, when you make your name in WWE, they pretty much own your name at that point. It's very rare we get to see someone get to keep their name from the WWE. So it made sense for him to go Adam Copeland. It was weird, but I got used to it. I don't like the fact that he goes by Cope now. I get it. I understand it. You know, you want to make it more easier for, you know, the fans to be able to cheer Cope. But it's tough. I still call him Edge. I was contemplating on stop watching WWE. Oh, during the Brothers of Destruction matchup. Yeah. There was a dark time with the WWE between like 2018 and 2020. Like, it was a dark time there for the WWE. That was around the time that I was still very much watching it, but I wasn't like, oh, I gotta watch Raw. Oh, I gotta watch SmackDown. It was like I would check in. I still knew what was going on, but I wasn't as invested. It was a tough watch. Chris Jericho in the Royal Rumble with a handshake deal with the WWE, and Logan Paul in the Rumble perhaps. Logan Paul is going to be in the Rumble. We saw a little vignette there earlier on Monday Night Raw. It's not official, but it's unofficially official. He'll be there. Chris Jericho, no. AEW and WWE will not work together. Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. I hate to crush your dreams, but no handshake deal. It's not going to work. I highly doubt it. And plus, why? I look at it in terms of why would they do it? Who is it benefiting? Chris Jericho's not going to win the Rumble, so why are they going to send Chris Jericho over? I don't see Jericho doing business with them right now. At least not right now. I think he'll eventually come back, because they always come back, but not yet. Let's pump the brakes. What's this rated FTR thing he has going on? Okay, so Adam Copeland obviously returned and is good friends with FTR, aka the Revival back in the WWE. So he is siding with them in their pursuit against the Death Riders. And obviously he's the rated R superstar, they're FTR. So it makes sense. Rated FTR. I'm a fan of FTR. I'm a fan of Adam Copeland. Edge. But we'll see what goes there, man. I saw a joke somewhere. I think it was on the Jim Cornette podcast. And people were saying that FTR stands for Find the Remote. And like, that's brutal. That's brutal. His career is winding down. Is it though? I mean, Jericho doesn't show signs of slowing down. He's won the Ring of Honor World title. He's on TV all the time, whether it's Ring of Honor or EEW. Is it winding down? I saw somewhere. We were watching the Royal Rumble, 2005. I was watching it one day, just catching up, throwing on one of the old matches. I love to go back and watch old Royal Rumbles around this time, and it was a 2005 Royal Rumble event. Ric Flair came out at number 30. Ric Flair in 05. Remember this? It was Evolution. He was with Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton. Ric Flair was like 56 in the 2005 Royal Rumble. Chris Jericho's like 55, 56 now. So Chris Jericho right now is about the same age as Ric Flair in those last couple years. And it puts it in perspective like, whoa. Because people would talk about Ric Flair like, hey, he's got to retire. He's got to call it. And like Muhammad referenced here, fans demanded him to retire. They were chanting, please retire. I'm not the person to tell him what to do with his career. We have no right to tell someone to end their career. He needs to go out on his own terms. But Jericho, man, just go on a part-time schedule. How about take a break? Go with Fozzy. Enjoy some time with the family. He got to step away. Let us miss you. Let us miss you. If you're here all the time, we can't miss you. I think Jericho needs to take a break and then come back. Just a little break, man. Just a little break. Take a little siesta, a little vacation with the family. And then come back. Allow us to miss you. And he shouldn't have won the Ring of Honor World title. I will say that. Edge should have stayed in the WWE, not gonna lie. I would have preferred it. He had a great matchup against Sheamus, that final matchup in Toronto. But I think it's because Edge had already accomplished everything in the WWE. What else could he do? What else could he do? He's done everything. So I get it. I'm not mad at that. Brutal and brilliant. Yeah. Find the Remote is crazy. Jericho's in my Mount Rushmore. No, don't get me wrong. Jericho is a GOAT. Jericho is one of the greatest of all time. A modern day legend. Absolutely. Don't get it twisted. But it's very much like, it hurts me, man. I don't want to see Jericho's last few years become a shell of his former self. I don't want to taint his legacy. He's an all-time great. I love Y2J. I love Jericho. But it's getting ugly. I think we can agree. It's not the best. Or do the Undertaker and Logan Paul schedule. Yeah, honestly, a Logan Paul schedule would definitely work with this Jericho character. Absolutely. I just feel like it's overexposure. It's overexposure. What I've been saying for a long time is what AEW should do is do like a brand split. You have Collision, you have Dynamite. Split the shows. You can have the world champions bounce back and forth, but like Dynamite can have the world champion, the women's world champion. Collision has the TBS champion, or vice versa. They can change it however they want. Then you can have the TNT title on one channel, and then you can have the international champion on the other, and have the tag titles and the world titles be the only ones that flip back and forth. Separate the brands. Either that or, I don't know, Ring of Honor could be a developmental system as well. I don't like that they show so much of the Ring of Honor titles or superstars on AEW. That's just my take. Jericho should go back with spiky hair. Can he even grow it back? He has it long. But if he cuts it off, can he grow it back? Me personally, I like Jericho with the long hair. I've always known him to be the long hair guy. I mean, when he had the haircut in like 2007, it was kind of weird. Took a while to get used to. Also, it's crazy how we're honestly witnessing history unfold within wrestling. It's amazing to know that wrestling isn't even that old. It started during the 1900s, which is a couple of years ago. I don't know about a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's relatively new, I mean, for a planet that is, billions of years old. We were all born into an era where pro wrestling was really just like 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It is crazy though. What a time to be alive. I've always said that. For me personally, I'm so fortunate to have been born in this time because, I got to see obviously pro wrestling. That's the biggest thing. I'm a big Marvel fan, so to see the MCU and Spider-Man and all that growth, very much a fan of that. Sports as well. I missed it by a couple of years because I would have loved to have seen Michael Jordan in his prime or like Jerry Rice in his prime. But certainly, if I had to pick a time and place to be born on this planet, this is not a bad time to be born in. The fact that Jericho can still pull off that lion salt is crazy. Yeah, like I said, Jericho can still go. He can still go. Seeing Macho Man appear in Spider-Man was fine. Dude, that cameo is fantastic. I love seeing the Macho Man in Spider-Man. I love when Spider-Man obviously is in the ring. As a fellow New Yorker, he's my favorite. Spider-Man by far is my favorite superhero. I think he's the greatest superhero of all time. And you can never change my mind. He's the best of all time. But yeah, Macho Man, seeing him in the Spider-Man movie, I love it so much because like Peter Parker's over here like, hey, take the chains off. I didn't sign up for a cage match. And then Macho Man, hey, freak show. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. I love that line so much. Macho Man was fantastic as Bonesaw McGraw. I'm surprised that Jeff Jarrett is better shape than Jericho, and Jarrett is older than him by 3 years. Oh, man. And Jeff Jarrett's getting a little retirement tour as well. He wants to be AEW World Champion. I like Jeff Jarrett. I don't think he should be champion. Do not give him the championship. Yeah, he can still go, but straight to senior discount card. I'm telling you, like, here's my thing. Just because you can still go doesn't mean you have to. You gotta end it when it's right. Look at it this way. Personally, I enjoy a party every now and then. I like going out with friends, going over and have a great time. You want to go to the party, but you never want to be the last one at the party. You got to learn to leave the party when it's at its peak, and then you kind of, feel it out. Okay, I'm gonna step out. You never want to be one of the last ones at the party, because then it's kind of awkward. When are they gonna go home? When are they gonna leave? Or are they gonna help clean up? You want to leave the party at the right time. Don't overstay your welcome. And that's what Jericho, I think, is, he's kind of doing. He's kind of overstaying his welcome. Let us miss you, Jericho. Let us miss you. Ooh, yeah. Kevin in the chat. Double J. Shout out to JEFFJARRE T. That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Macho Man getting that bag from all those Slim Jim commercials. Facts. The face of Slim Jim himself. Even from the great beyond, he's still, on the Slim Jim commercial. Shout out to LA Knight and Bianca Belair, who have been on those Slim Jim commercials. Fun fact, I've never tried a Slim Jim. Never tried a Slim Jim, but I love the Slim Jim commercials. Love the Macho Man. Am I missing out? Should I try a Slim Jim? I don't know. I've never tried it. Never really wanted to. It's not like I had something against it. I just never had the feeling of trying it. But it's a great marketing campaign. I mean, you have the Macho Man, and you're inclined to try it. Great conversations there, guys. I love it. I love it. You guys continuing to bring the heat here on these live streams with great questions, great comments from the past, and obviously what's going on presently in the world of professional wrestling. Rest in peace to Macho Man. I believe it was 2011. 2011, the day, it was in May. It might have been the weekend of Over the Limit, if I remember correctly, when Macho Man, sadly was taken. But absolute legend. One of the greatest of all time. You guys know I don't have a big fandom of Hulk Hogan. I always pick Piper and Savage over him. Savage was so cool. Absolutely. But I mean, Raw was awesome too. We're in an episode of Raw today. We're getting closer to the Rumble. What were some of your guys' favorite Royal Rumble memories? let's take a trip down memory lane here. Who were some of your favorite Royal Rumble winners? What were some of your favorite WrestleMania or Royal Rumble moments, I should say? I'll start. I think one of my favorite Royal Rumble moments was one I recently watched, and that was John Cena versus Batista. It was a 2005 Rumble. They were the final two, and we get that classic botch where Batista lifts up John Cena, and they both fall over the top rope, and they have that elimination. And it's like, you can't. How can you write that? Like, they both landed at the same time, and to know that it wasn't planned, it was botched. That was awesome. I love that one so much. It's one of my favorite Rumbles as well, because it was during a time in '05 where my fandom of pro wrestling was beginning to soar. It had guys like Rey, Mysterio, Edge, Batista, John Cena, Benoit, Eddie, Booker T, the aforementioned Chris Jericho, Christian, Kane. Like, dude, that's my jam. Yes, that's how the Macho Man passed away, sadly. Santino being eliminated in point. Yeah, Santino Marella getting eliminated, breaking the Warlord's record. So the Warlord held the record for 2 seconds, and then Santino, I believe, was like at 1 second, if I'm not mistaken. And he says like, "Oh, I wasn't ready." Santino Marella is one of the greatest of all time when it comes to comedy. He also had a great moment where he was like the runner-up in the 2011 Royal Rumble. So big shout out there. Shout out Mama Ramos. Yeah, Batista versus Cena. It's a great moment. And what I loved is it really signified the new era of WWE. Cena and Batista both ascending to the top of the card. This was a WWE that was post Stone Cold Steve Austin and post The Rock. Brock Lesnar was gone. We needed some new faces. And to have Batista and John Cena there on a collision course heading towards the main event of WrestleMania 21, it remains one of the greatest moments for me in terms of my childhood in pro wrestling. Shake my head. Beth Phoenix at an early age taught me not to trust these women after she eliminated my boy Khali. For those who don't know what Kevin and I are alluding to here, Beth Phoenix became the second woman to ever take part in the men's Royal Rumble. This was in 2010. She's the second to Chyna, who was the first, and she enters the matchup and immediately goes after the Great Khali, and the Great Khali is like, "What the hell what are you doing here? You shouldn't be in here." He lifts up Beth Phoenix, puts her over the top rope, but lands on the apron, so she's not on the ground. But if she lands on the ground, she's eliminated. Urges her, "Go to the back, you shouldn't be here," and Beth grabs the Great Khali and plants a good old wet kiss on Khali and drags him over the rope and dumps him out. He's eliminated. A surprising turn of events, and I think one of the best moments in Khali's career, probably. Muhammad says that his was 2010, 2007, and 2020. The ones that were won by Edge in 2010, The Undertaker won in 2007, and Drew McIntyre wins in 2020. Solid picks. Hey, Salvador, welcome to the live stream. They say R-Truth had some very funny moments. I agree. I remember there was one year. Oh, man, I don't remember what year it was, but there was one year that... Was it 2021? I don't know, but there was a year where R-Truth comes down the aisle. He's in the Royal Rumble matchup, and he pulls out a ladder. It might have been 2016 or 2015. But he pulls out a ladder, throws it in the ring, pulls up the ladder, climbs it, and is like, "Where's the briefcase?" And he's thinking it's Money in the Bank, but it's the Royal Rumble. Love that. And 2003 is at the time Kurt Angle won. Yeah, in 2003, that was the Royal Rumble where Kurt Angle had defeated Chris Benoit in the WWE Championship matchup. One of the best matches Kurt Angle has had, and in his own words, he says it was one of his best matches in 2003. Punk in the beginning of the 2010 Rumble was fire, talking trash on the mic after eliminating people. The sermon of CM Punk, yeah, of course, in 2010. He had, I think it was like Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, and Evan Bourne. There was another guy I'm missing, JTG. He was saying how, like, oh yeah, like, join the straight edge society, and how, like, you have potential, and he wanted them to join the group, and he would just eliminate them, and being able to be on the microphone and and cut a pretty damn good promo, as of course Punk would do. A great moment. I remember watching that live. Are they close and are they friends? Kurt Angle and Benoit, I would assume they were close. You know, obviously they're not close anymore, but I would assume they were friends. They had great matches, great chemistry. You know, they had matches like at obviously Royal Rumble 2003, WrestleMania 17, a couple of great matches in 2000 that involved like submission matches. So usually the people who have great matches and great chemistry, yeah, they were. I would think they were friends. I would think they used to be friends. Another great Royal Rumble moment that I really enjoyed was like 2008. 2008 when John Cena made his shocking return. He had torn his pectoral and we thought he was going to be out and miss WrestleMania, but he comes in at the number 30 spot, shocking everybody and even me. There was like, I'll never forget, there was a split second where I'm like, is that really John Cena? Because he wore the jersey, he had the hat, but he had his head down. So you didn't see his face completely. And I'm thinking, that's not really John Cena, is it? Looks up and it's his face. I'm like, whoa, what a miraculous return. So that was awesome. I think Punk during 2010 with his cult gimmick should have gone against Taker at Mania that year instead of 2014. Yeah, no, their matchup at WrestleMania 29 was fantastic. But I think I love that Punk gimmick, man. The Straight Edge Society as the cult leader. I was into it. I was super into it. My only complaint here is because in 2010 was against Shawn. And I do not want to take away that Shawn matchup, but I do think that Punk during that time, yeah, was one of the best heels in the company. Saudi 85, Austin got eliminated in 97, but still won. Yeah, Austin managed to finagle his way into a victory, his first of 3 Royal Rumble victories. He was eliminated, I believe, by Bret Hart, but the referees were too occupied with Mankind brawling with, I don't remember who he was brawling with, but he was fighting with someone on the outside. It might have been Terry Funk, but referees didn't see it, so Austin climbs back into the ring, eliminates everybody else, and wins the matchup. I mean, a great Austin moment there. I think Austin is the greatest Royal Rumble participant of all time. He's eliminated 36 competitors over the course of 6 Royal Rumbles. He's won 3 Royal Rumbles. How can you not say that Austin's one of the greatest to ever participate in a Rumble? He was my pick to win the Royal Rumble yesterday in our live stream. Ultimately, that wasn't the case, though. Like I said, if you haven't seen that Royal Rumble live stream that we did last night, make sure you go back in the archive and check it out, man. It was a good time. It was a fun time. Muhammad, that time where Punk had long hair that showed him his demeanor. Punk with the... Okay, it might get a little controversial, you know, but it's a late night, right? We don't got the FCC here. We don't have rules and regulations, technically. When Punk was doing the Straight Edge Society gimmick, he had the long hair and the beard. He was obviously emulating a certain JC, you know, a certain Jesus character. That might have been controversial for a lot of people, and that was the point. So when he grew out that long hair and long beard, you can say he was channeling his inner Messiah, but I also think there was a little bit of a Charles Manson type of influence there. That's why I liked Punk, and I still like him now, because he pushes the envelope. He's not afraid to tiptoe over that line. It might have been uncomfortable for some people, but for me, I was all in, because I loved when they pushed the envelope and they threatened to go over the edge there. So that Punk gimmick, that character was one of the best work I've saw, because I was like I would have been like 11 or 12 around that time. So I was into it. What do you think about WWE erasing Benoit? What he did was terrible, but you got to give him credit. He was a great wrestler. It's, this is a fantastic question. Shout out to Gabs for asking this one. And it's something I do have an opinion on, but I don't really take part in because it's kind of a slippery slope. But with this question, I understand why they erased Benoit. I totally get it. For people who knew and were there to watch his matches, we know Benoit was one of the greatest of all time. Had all the talent in the world. Definitely would have had a Hall of Fame career and had an argument to be considered the greatest of all time. But unfortunately, what took place during the fatal weekend in June of 2007 eradicates it. It overrules it. You can't justify it. Because if you bring in Benoit and you continue to kind of promote his name, questions are going to arise. Nothing good is going to come out of it. So I think for us, again, who watched the product then and remember Benoit, that's for us. That's for us. But from a business standpoint and from a mainstream standpoint, I think they did the right thing in terms of erasing Benoit. Because you don't want that association with your company. So I get it. I totally get it. I don't think it was the wrong call. Some people might disagree with that, but no. I think it was the only way. You can't. How are you going to, like, because he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Because how are you going to put someone like that in the Hall of Fame? You can't celebrate that. And I know people are going to say, well, separate the man from the wrestler. Like, that's what Chris Benoit did in his real life, but the character Benoit is one thing. It's still a tough slope. You can't argue that. And I think it's just a conversation that they would much rather avoid. And the way to do that, wipe the slate clean. Just erase Benoit from history. It's a shame because he had a great career, but ultimately how his life and career ended will always be the focal point. And it sucks because for two reasons. Reason number one, if you go back and you watch the Benoit documentary, it's Dark Side of the Ring. It's available on Hulu. If you're interested in Dark Side of the Ring, it is a series of professional wrestling stories that is exactly what it sounds like. It's the dark side. It's the, you know, the violence, the demons that were battled, whether it was addiction, whether it was injuries, the controversies surrounding pro wrestling. They had a 2-part episode that was surrounded around the Benoit tragedy, and people talked about how Benoit was consumed by his profession. He wanted to be the greatest of all time. He wanted his work to speak for his legacy. He put so much time, so much effort, so much blood, so much sweat, so much tears into becoming one of the greatest of all time. And the irony now is no one will ever discuss it. No one will ever give him that credit on a mainstream appeal because he can't. It's ironic that the one thing he focused his whole life on doesn't matter, essentially. The second thing that sucks about it is who it's affected, and that's his son, David Benoit. David Benoit, who obviously knew his father as his father. He didn't know Chris was going to do this. Nobody thought that Chris was going to do it. So now David, who has made it vocal that he wants to participate in pro wrestling, he's not going to get to because of his association with Chris. Now, we talked about this in a previous live stream. I think his best shot would be to wear a mask and change his name. That's how you're going to get into the business. Aside from that, I do not see people wanting to book David Benoit, and it's a shame. The Benoit tragedy could have been prevented with right and better communication. I heard that Bob Holly was supposed to him that day, and that made Benoit offended and upset. So I haven't heard the Bob Holly stuff. In terms of, like, it could have been prevented, maybe. I mean, it depends on what you believe. The forensics has shown that Chris Benoit suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, aka CTE, severe concussions that altered the structure and the health of his brain. Upon, forensics and the autopsy results, it was discovered for Chris Benoit, his brain. Keep in mind, Benoit was like in his late 30s, early 40s, right? Upon, his death. It was discovered that he had the brain of a 67 Alzheimer's patient. The deterioration, the damage that his brain had sustained throughout the course of his life was significant. CTE is a real thing. So I understand, could it have been prevented with the right, better communication? Maybe. But unfortunately, brain trauma is legit. So I don't know if it would have been prevented. Could it have been stalled? Maybe. I don't know. Chris Benoit was very close with Bob Holly because Bob Holly was trying to new Eddie. If you're trying to say he was trying to be the new Eddie, dude, Chris's relationship with Benoit, or Chris's relationship with Eddie was well documented. 60. Well, see, okay, 87-year-old. There you go. There you go. 87. I misspoke, but that proves my point that CT. I think eventually it would have affected him to do something. Maybe not in the sense of something so severe as taking the lives of his family. And this is taking a real dark turn. I'm sorry, guys, but I think eventually maybe something could have happened like that. Who do you think will win heavyweight championship first, Jey Uso or Sami Zayn? I think probably Jey. He's just so over. I want to see both guys win. And I know we're still on the Benoit topic here, and I'm gonna check in with Gabs real quick. But it's ironic that you said Sami Zayn or Jey Uso because I was out on the treadmill and I got this vision in my head, and I'm like, dude, how cool would it have been to see Jey Uso and Sami Zayn both win the world titles? You know, maybe Sami wins the world title, Jey wins the WWE title, and we recreate that WrestleMania 20 moment where Eddie and Benoit are in the ring, and the confetti's coming down, and these two good friends are world champions. That just makes me feel good. I want to see Sami and Jey succeed, and succeed together. So I hope both are world champions, but who I think will be champion first? Probably Jey Uso. Gabs Jose, please don't tell us you also majored in sports medicine. How do you know so much? Yeah, I'm before I majored in communications, I was very much interested in sports medicine. I wanted to go into that field because I love sports and I love the anatomy and studying how the body functions. So I did take sports medicine and medical foundations in high school. In college, I took general psychology along with like other classes and courses that dived into psychology, basically. Very fascinated with the function of the brain and how it relates to our everyday activities because, of course, the brain is the brain. I wrote, and again, when it comes to CTE, I had studied in as a medical assistant. I wanted to go into the medical field as well. I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, I'm an open book, but my life in terms of my pursuit of like career has been like all over the place. At one point I went into the medical field and was like a medical assistant, and we had to write a paper on any type of subject in the medical field. And I've always been interested in, like I said, the health, the function of the brain. Whether it was because of sports, whether it was because of, familial reasons. So I wrote a paper on CTE and its effects in the NFL as well as professional wrestling. I'm very much a fan of writing papers. I enjoy writing. So I really poured like everything into that paper, and I was very proud of the result. And so when it comes to CTE and brain trauma, I try to remain well educated and well versed in its updates and an interest in it. An interest in it. I saw we lost connection there for a second, but I think we're back. But no, great questions there, guys. We got into like a deep conversation there about brain trauma, and wow, did you just end the chat? No, I'm hoping it's still live. No, yeah, we had a little bit of a break there. I saw on my end that for some reason the connection on my stream was kind of lagging. It should be okay now. I saw on my end that for some reason the connection on my stream is kind of lagging. You might hear a little bit of an echo. I have the stream on my phone right now. That way I can see. Gab says we're good. Okay, if Gab says we're good, then we're good. Yeah, a little bit of a, I don't know what that was. But yeah, like I said, whenever I do my live streams, I do have my phone. I do have my phone on as well, and it seems like it's good. Sanford 5 says reset stream real quick. I just want to double check. You guys got me? I just want to double check. You guys got me? Because I got Sanford 5 in the chat saying to try resetting, but then I got Gab saying that we're good. Gab says it seems fine now. In the chat saying to try resetting. Yeah, because on my end it's looking good. On my end it's looking good. I have a little control panel. Yeah, no, there was a slight echo because I had like I have it on my phone and on my laptop, just so I can see a visual to make sure that everything's cool. And like I said, everything on the laptop and on my phone says it's cool. And even like I have a control panel here on YouTube that says the connection's good. Hold on. I'm getting instant feedback here from Sanford5. He's telling me to end the stream and reset. But, I mean, right now he's the only one telling me that it's not. Yeah, Sylvia's saying no issues either. Maybe it's just in our house. Because, like, I'm getting good reception. Okay. So Sanford 5 just said we're good now. All right, well, you got me scared there for. You know what it probably is? We were talking so much about Benoit. He's probably out here trying to haunt us with that connection. My Ramos says I'm good too. You got me scared there, man. Hey, I'm a fan of Benoit. I mean, I might not be a fan of how it ended. I will never condone that. And it certainly has influenced my perspective on him. Sanford 5 just messaged me saying I had to reset the app on my phone. Listen, brother, that might be a you thing. I think we're copacetic. We're all chilling over here. We're chilling like villains. But I want to hear your guys' take. I mean, we dove into that for a moment there about the Benoit stuff and you know, brain trauma and injuries. I very much am interested in that, but like I said, I always go off of how you guys, you know, receive it or what you guys want to talk about. You guys are the driving force when it comes to these live streams, because I can talk about what's going on in current pro wrestling, but ultimately you guys have the say on how we navigate throughout these conversations. So I very much was interested and invested in that, especially because I lived it, dude. Because I remember back in like 07 when the news hit, like we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. But I mean, I again try to remain as knowledgeable as possible when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you want a more like in-depth, Sylvia says I like this topic too. If you like this stuff and want a more in-depth take on it, there's the documentary on Hulu about Dark Side of the Ring. If not, hey, I'm more than happy to dive into the topic in like a separate video or live stream. That's really just the talking point there. Because what I could do, and that's why I value you guys here on the live stream. I learn with you guys, but it sounds like it's a difficult topic. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a difficult topic. It's just because I feel like it's a controversial topic because there's some people who try to defend him and obviously some people who don't. So it just depends on what side of the spectrum that you're on. Um, I don't know if it's something you guys would like to do in another live stream where we're just talking strictly about injuries or like the controversial side of wrestling or Muhammad saying why is it buffering for some reason. I mean again like mine's okay. The documentary, it's a series, I will say. It's a series on Hulu called Dark Side of the Ring. It has like 5 seasons worth of content. I think it might be like 7 episodes a season, but it tackles like the Benoit stuff, the Owen Hart tragedy, the Randy Savage relationship with Miss Elizabeth, the steroid trial. Like, there's a lot of dark stuff there. I mean, it's called Dark Side of the Ring, right? It's really informative, and you're gonna see familiar faces in like these interviews. They have these sit down interviews. It's really well done. It is really well done. I highly recommend it. And we could even dive more into those topics here on the channel because I think it'd be very interesting. Like I said, have you ever seen the documentary Wrestling with Shadows about Bret Hart? Yeah, the Wrestling with Shadows documentary is very eerie because of the Montreal Screwjob and having that documentary being filmed around the same time. But I did see it and I enjoyed it. That like the Beyond the Mat documentary in '99, 2000. That's a good one. The Plane Ride from Hell, yeah, the Plane Ride from Hell is another big story there, included on Dark Side of the Ring. Sylvia said, "Did I hear tragedy? Who are we talking about now?" Owen Hart. I said the Owen Hart tragedy. That one's a very sad one. Obviously, for people who are aware of Owen Hart, I'm just going to do a quick little recap to catch everybody up. Owen Hart, the younger brother of Bret the Hitman Hart, legendary wrestling family, the Hart family. He very underrated because everyone obviously looked at Bret. Bret was the guy. He was a WWE champion. He was the top babyface. Bret Hart leaves the WWE. He goes to the rival promotion of the the WCW, and Owen Hart is still under contract with the WWF, so he can't leave. He's under contract. Rather than pushing Owen Hart because he was a great wrestler, they give him this gimmick. Rather, they reintroduce him under the gimmick the Blue Blazer, which is supposed to be like this superhero gimmick. He has a mask, a whole costume, and everything. And he's supposed to come down from the rafters with like a harness, coming down from the rafters down to the ring. And Owen Hart, they rehearse it. They've done it before. But on this night, it was May 23rd, 1999, Over the Edge, a pay-per-view that was held in Kansas City, Missouri. Owen Hart's coming down from the rafters, except the harness broke. And he fell feet, like all the way from the top of the arena. He fell to his death. And it's something that's like, it's one of the more tragic stories of all time. Owen Hart had all the potential in the world to be the next big star, and they didn't do it. 100% it could have been prevented. They should have never, reintroduced the gimmick of the Blue Blazer. They should have never had him come down from the rafters. It could have been prevented. And then it's essentially a crime scene. Owen Hart, he died in the ring. He dies in the ring. Some people say, okay, he was pronounced dead at the hospital, but the accident happened in the ring. The pay-per-view is Over the Edge. They do not show this on the live feed. No one has seen it unless if you were in like the live audience then. So then, I'm going to get to these comments in a second here. So then, they remove his body, Owen Hart, and they carry the show out. the accident happens like I think an hour into the pay-per-view, and the pay-per-views are usually like 2.5 hours, 3 hours maybe. His blood is on the mat, and they carry on the show because the show must go on. I don't think anybody would have blamed them for ending the show, especially knowing what we knew. And my biggest thing is it's technically a crime scene, and you're having people in the ring basically contaminating a crime scene. Jim Cornette blames Russo and Vinny. Yeah. It's sad because, again, Jim Cornette, who was with the WWF at that time, he's a legendary wrestling manager, historian, controversial figure himself, has been very vocal about how during that night, Owen Hart's coming down from the rafters. And Jim Cornette says the final words he heard Owen Hart yell on his way down was, "Look out. Everyone look out." And Jim Cornette says that in his last moments, Owen Hart was worried about the other people and telling them to get out of the way because he might have fallen on them. We talk about the Benoit tragedy. I mean, I said that CTE and the brain trauma may not have prevented that tragedy from happening, but the Owen Hart stuff definitely could have been prevented. And the aftermath of that, Owen Hart's wife sues the WWE, obviously for negligence. And as a result, they win the settlement. And Owen Hart is another guy. He's not totally erased, but his wife, Martha Hart, refuses to give that WWE the opportunity to acknowledge Owen. She does not want them profiting off of her husband because they were basically responsible for the accident. So will we ever see Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame? That's, I think, a Martha call. Because I don't think it's going to happen. And ultimately, that's her decision. Being that was her husband, she has all the right to withhold that. I know there's some people who, like Mark Henry says, Owen Hart has earned that distinction. Put him in the Hall of Fame. But it's her decision. And I respect it. If she says he can't go in the Hall of Fame or she doesn't feel comfortable, I respect her opinion. It's chilling hearing Jimmy Corderas' POV of the situation. Jimmy Corderas was the official for that matchup that Owen Hart was going to take part in. And he says he's in the ring, they're getting ready, everything, and he has his, I think it was either his hands or he was leaning on the rope, but regardless, the rope viciously like whips back and forth. And he's like, stunned, shocked, like, whoa, why is the ring moving like this? And he turned around. It was because it was Owen Hart who fell from the ring and hit the turnbuckle, essentially hitting the rope, causing it to ricochet back and forth because of the fear, ferocity, and just how hard he fell. It was his hands, Sanford 5 says. Darby Allin did it also in AEW recently, and it didn't go well for him with the harness and rope. No, but it's like, it's tough. It's something I don't think that should be done. Sting made it very popular because he propelled from the top of the arena and came down. I personally would just rather not see it anymore because of Owen Hart. Just be safe. There are certain things you don't have to do anymore in wrestling. He was sweeping out the leftovers from the previous hardcore matchup. Shout out to Sanford 5. That sounds about right to me. Martin, what's going on? You should give us a day of the week to talk about this show you're talking about, like what you do with your weekly podcast. Hey, I'm down for it. If you guys are interested in that, I would love to do so. It's just a matter of how do we want to do this? Because I could easily just pick a day of the week and talk about it. Because here's what I'm thinking. There's one of two ways. I can do it like the podcast, where it's just pre-recorded and let it play. Or I could do it as a live stream and kind of have it as an interaction with you guys and just focus on those topics. I don't know how many people have access to Hulu, but it could almost be like I don't want to say like a book club type of deal, but it's like, okay, hey, your homework is watch this episode and then we're going to come back on Saturday. I'm just throwing out a day. It probably wouldn't be a Saturday, but, or like a Thursday, I feel like, and come back to it. So I'm actually going to throw up a poll. I'm going to throw up a poll here. I would like to hear your guys' take on it. Why was Starrcade 97 match between Hogan and Sting infamous? Sylvia says, count me in. Hey, I'm down for it. Like I said, it's all about you guys. If that's something you're interested in, I would absolutely love to tackle those type of content. We do a lot of stuff regarding like current events in pro wrestling. But if that's something you guys are interested in, I'm more than happy, more obliged to give that to you guys. Sounds like there's a lot of talk. Sounds like there is a lot to talk about, like the plain history you mentioned. Oh, there is, man. There really is. For all the greatness about pro wrestling, there is certainly a dark side to it. Why was the 97 Starrcade matchup infamous between Hogan and Sting? It's because Sting and Hogan, that was a storyline that ran for a year. The build-up between Sting and the NWO. He was supposed to be like this huge savior for WCW. And we were supposed to see Sting and Hogan in the matchup. Sting was going to defeat Hulk Hogan for the world title and become the face of the company, save WCW from this tyrannical reign of the WCW NWO group. And the story goes, this is right after Bret Hart jumps to WCW. Bret Hart obviously just endured the Montreal screw job, so he jumps over to WCW. What was supposed to happen is that Nick Patrick was a heel referee working for the NWO, and Hulk Hogan was supposed to pin Sting and do a fast count. So we know the traditional count would be like 1, 2, 3. Nick Patrick was supposed to count the fall, fast count, screw Sting, prevent him from winning the championship. It was an obvious screw job. And Bret Hart would come out because of what happened to him at the Survivor Series and say, no, we're not going to have another screw job. Restart the matchup. And Sting would win in overtime. Everyone's happy. That was what was supposed to happen. What happened? Allegedly, Hulk Hogan goes backstage and convinces Nick Patrick, the referee, to count a regular pinfall. Regular 1, 2, 3. That was what happened. It wasn't a fast count. So upon doing a regular count, here comes Bret Hart saying, no, we're not going to have another screw job. Restart the matchup. But the optics were already screwed up. It already looked fishy. Why are we going to restart the match when he counted the pinfall regularly? He wasn't screwed. It was a regular pinfall. But allegedly, Hulk Hogan got in the ear of the official, told him count regularly. So now Sting wins in overtime, but it's tainted because of that finish. It wasn't how it was supposed to happen. It was tainted. Another reason why I'm not a fan of Hulk Hogan. Muhammad says Matt Hardy and Edge. Dude, we could do a whole episode on the Matt Hardy and Edge love triangle between Lita. This is awesome though. I have 12 votes in. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels is my favorite feud of all time. To be honest, the bits of wrestling, or the behind the scenes of wrestling, is more interesting than some feuds. Yeah, it's true. I love pro wrestling. Don't get me wrong. The stories, the matches. But San Fran Fry is 100% right. The behind the scenes stuff, the stuff we're not supposed to know, it's fascinating. It's taboo. It's like, whoa, hey. I'm not supposed to know this. I'm not supposed to know the inner workings of the business, but it's very fascinating. If that's something you guys want, let's do it. I'm looking in the in the poll here. You can't see it on the screen here because I'm not signed in. It's fine. But if you voted, 17 votes are in. 17 people want to see more Dark Side of the Ring content as a live stream. Let's do it. There's a lot to talk about. And with these live streams, we've kind of been fluctuating. We've been trying to find a sweet spot. We've been trying to find a way to appease you guys, or appease myself essentially as well, because I want to be able to have a consistent schedule that not only works for me but works for all of you. Curtain Call is another huge one. I'm going to write these down. These are great. So Sundays have become like the Sunday stream where it's just, hanging out, casual. We've had a couple gameplay. Thursdays we've done like listings and rankings. I like those because it's kind of interactive. I think it's fun. And then we've had these Mondays where it's like, it was initially intended for Monday Night Raw and as a recap. But in recent time, the podcast has kind of shaped that avenue of being where I kind of recap what happened on SmackDown, what's going down on Raw. So maybe we'll move Mondays as like our dark side. Our dark side streams. Because I do want to keep Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Those days work for me. And I don't want to do it like every live stream's a topic because, dude, there's a lot. And I think Martin's onto something where let's do something once a week where we talk about something. And it's kind of like a history lesson for some people who haven't heard of it, and like a refresher for people who have. Salvi says the New Jack episode was crazy when he wrestled Mass Transit. Dude, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Because these are all great topics to do. This is something I have talked about wanting to do in the past. I just didn't know if there was an audience that wanted it. I mean, obviously we all like to hear the behind the scenes stuff. But seeing the feedback from all of you guys saying, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely. It's just a matter of when. I hope you guys keep an eye on the community posts, because that's where I usually upload news regarding live streams. I'll say, hey, we have a live stream here at this time. Because that's certainly, I'm thinking about doing that. Maybe Thursdays. Brawl Out. History Lesson is a great idea. Shout out Lucha is live, by the way. Thank you for stopping by in the live stream. Okay, I think that's what we're going to do. Thursday streams. The Thursday night streams, that's going to be our throwback Thursday, like a live stream, where we're going to talk about history lessons. Namely, the dark side of pro wrestling. The chisme, if you will. The gossip. Stuff like Brawl Out, Mass Transit. Stuff like the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels feud that was behind the scenes. Matt Hardy and Edge. This is great. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to be honest. Hey, I love you guys. Because you guys are giving me like the itch. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm craving this already. What we're going to do is keep an eye out tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to put up a poll. More likely around noon Mountain Standard Time. In that poll, I'm going to put 4 options. It'll be 4 different options for what topic we're going to discuss Thursday. No, we love you, Oos. Like I said, Tuesday, because it might be Tuesday already in some places. Tuesday, 12 noon, Mountain Standard Time. We're going to have a poll in the community tab. It's going to give you 4 options on what topic you would like to hear. So vote Tuesday. If you don't have a chance, vote Wednesday. If you're really busy because you're so awesome and you keep yourself occupied, vote Thursday. Because Thursday night, we're going to do a live stream from now on. A Throwback Thursday live stream talking about these storylines. And you guys are going to have the opportunity to dictate what storylines or what real life controversies we're going to talk about, because there's no shortage. There's no shortage. You guys helped me out too, by the way, by filling in this schedule, because with obviously the channel expanding, I want to be able to provide a schedule that, again, fits my needs, but also fits your guys' fix. So that's awesome. We're going to go ahead and cap off there, because unfortunately, your boy has to wake up early to head into work. But I always cherish this opportunity to go live with you guys, discuss pro wrestling. It's my biggest passion. And I'm really looking forward to Thursday's stream. So, like I said, Thursday, we're going to have a Throwback Thursday live stream talking about these storylines, right? I'm going to try to put a little bit of a description into, I'll send you my bill later. For real, Martin. Martin's a real one, by the way. Shout out to Martin. Awesome idea. Since it was my idea, I'm giving you credit. Shout out John Cena. I see you too. I see you too, John. Everyone take acknowledgement. Acknowledge Martin in the chat. Everyone type in Martin and give him give him the good old acknowledgement. Big ups to Martin. It was Martin's idea. I'm not the kind of guy where I'm too big to admit someone else had a great idea. Everyone acknowledge Martin. So yeah, we're going to have the poll Tuesday afternoon. Make sure you vote. I'm going to try to be a little descriptive in the poll. That way it kind of gives you an idea on what is going to be the topic. And then we'll come back Thursday and we're just going to chat. We're just going to chat about it. I'm also going to try to have visuals. I think it'd be awesome to have visuals too. You guys are really making me have homework, essentially. I'm going to have to make a little, project for you guys. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to it, though. That's right. Everyone acknowledge Martin. Big shout out. That's a great idea. That's an awesome idea. But I want to thank you guys, of course, for joining us here on a Monday night. I guess now a Tuesday morning live stream, depending where you're at. Always a fun time. Always look forward to these chats with you guys. I'm really looking forward to Thursdays, man. Like I said, I'm going to have some options out there to see what you guys are interested in, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. Well, with that being said, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps us with the algorithm and the numbers and improving the channel's growth. So make sure you subscribe to the content. If you want more pro wrestling stuff like this, technically it's Wednesday morning somewhere. If you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe. If you liked this live stream and enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Obviously, if you haven't already commented in the chat, comment down in the comments section on what you loved about this live stream or pro wrestling. Or even throw out some ideas in the chat. Maybe not the chat. Throw out some ideas in the comments section about what topics you want to discuss Thursday. Give us some ideas. Make sure you go in the comments section, not the chat, but the video's comments section. That way I know you're a real one and you want to be invested in this next iteration of the live stream. If you haven't already, hey, consider becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia. You're going to get exclusive content like videos, shorts, posts, and moving forward, I mean, a lot more fun stuff is on the way, but I'm trying to get as many people as involved with that as early as possible. That way it's a little bit more inclusive to those that are involved. But with 100% of the votes, everyone is looking like we're going to be doing Dark Side of the Ring as a live stream. Martin says, sorry guys, now you have homework. Hey, if you want to come prepared, hey, it's all good. Come prepared, take some notes, watch the documentary. If not, and you want to learn something new, join us Thursday anyhow. We're going to discuss some very interesting, some controversial maybe, but regardless, some wrestling topics that you're not going to discuss anywhere else. Certainly not with your other friends, but here in the J area with us as your friends, we're going to be talking about some great topics here. Thank you guys again for joining us on the live stream. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Be safe, be healthy. We'll see you guys then. Make sure you check out the videos on Wednesday. It's some short clips. And then on Thursday, we'll meet back here probably the same time, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Of course, I always try to have a link up early so you guys can see when those live streams start. So very much looking forward to it, guys. Everyone be safe, have fun, and we'll see you then.